The rain came down in sheets that Tuesday evening, the kind of downpour that makes you remember every leak in your roof and every crack in your shoes. David Harrison sat in his work truck at the red light, windshield wipers working overtime, thinking about the leftover meatloaf waiting at home and whether his daughter Jenny had remembered to start her homework. He was 47, a contractor with calloused hands and a perpetually tired smile. His beige work shirt was spotted with the day's labor, and his jeans had seen better years. The truck's heater fought valiantly against the autumn chill seeping through the old weather stripping. That's when he saw her. At the bus stop, sitting on the bench in the pouring rain, was a young woman in a bright turquoise dress. Her long brown hair was plastered to her shoulders, and she wore a black blindfold over her eyes. In her hand, she clutched a white cane, holding it like a lifeline. She wasn't huddled against the rain or trying to find shelter. She just sat there, perfectly still, as if waiting for something that might never come. David's first instinct was to keep driving. He was tired, wet, ready to be home. The light turned green, and the car behind him honked. But something made him pull over. He grabbed the emergency poncho from behind his seat and jogged across the street, his boots splashing through puddles. Up close, he could see she was shivering. The dress, while pretty, offered little protection against the elements. She couldn't have been more than 30. "Miss?" he said gently, not wanting to startle her. "Miss, are you all right?" She turned her head toward his voice. Behind the blindfold, he could see her eyelids were closed. "I'm waiting for the bus," she said simply. Her voice was soft, with a slight tremor that might have been from cold or fear or both. "Ma'am, the last bus came through here 20 minutes ago. There won't be another until morning." Her face fell. For a moment, she said nothing, just sat there absorbing this information. Then, quietly, "I see." The phrase hung in the air between them, unintentional but somehow fitting. "I'm David," he said, crouching down to her level. "I've got a poncho here. Let's at least get you out of this rain. Do you have somewhere I can take you?" She hesitated. He could see her weighing her options, trying to decide if she could trust a stranger's voice in the rain. "My name is Sarah," she said finally. "Sarah Mitchell. I don't have anywhere to go." David felt that familiar tightness in his chest, the one he got when life presented him with a choice between easy and right. "Well, that settles it then. Come on, my daughter's probably burned dinner by now anyway. She'll be thrilled to have a witness to her latest culinary experiment." Something about the way he said it, the gentle humor in his voice, seemed to ease her tension. She let him help her up, guide her to his truck. He made sure she was settled before closing the door and jogging around to the driver's side. As they drove through the rain-soaked streets, David kept up a steady stream of conversation. Told her about Jenny, who was 16 and convinced she was going to be a veterinarian despite being allergic to most animals. Talked about the leak in his kitchen ceiling and how he kept meaning to fix it but somehow never got around to it. Just normal things, safe things. Sarah sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap, the white cane balanced carefully between her knees. Gradually, her shivering subsided in the truck's warmth. "Why were you at that bus stop, Sarah, if you don't mind my asking?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I was living with my sister. Her boyfriend moved in last week. He said there wasn't room for me anymore, that I was a burden." She didn't argue with him. David's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I'm sorry." "It's alright, I've been on my own before. I thought I'd have more time to figure something out." When they pulled up to his small house on Maple Street, Jenny was at the door before David could even turn off the engine. She was a whirlwind of energy, her dark hair in a messy ponytail, wearing one of her dad's old flannel shirts over her jeans. "Dad, you're late. I was worried and—" "Who's that?" "This is Sarah," David said, helping their guest out of the truck. "She needs a warm meal and a dry place to stay for the night." "Think we can manage that?" Jenny's eyes went wide, taking in Sarah's blindfold, her wet dress, the white cane. "Oh my God, of course. Come in, come in." "I made spaghetti, and it only burned a little bit." Inside the modest house, warmth and the smell of garlic bread greeted them. The living room was cluttered with the comfortable chaos of real life. Jenny's textbooks on the coffee table, David's tools by the door, framed photos on every surface. Jenny found some dry clothes for Sarah, led her gently to the bathroom to change. When Sarah emerged wearing an oversized sweatshirt and soft pants, she looked younger, vulnerable. Over dinner, the story came out in pieces. Sarah had lost her sight in a car accident 5 years ago, the same accident that killed her parents. She'd learned to adapt, learned to navigate the world with her other senses. But jobs were hard to come by, affordable housing even harder. She'd been staying with her sister, trying to save enough money to get her own place. "I had almost enough," she said quietly, moving spaghetti around her plate with practiced precision. "Another 2 months and I could have afforded a small apartment." But when Mark moved in, things changed. "He didn't like having me around. Said I made him uncomfortable." Jenny's face flushed with anger. "That's horrible." "It's alright," Sarah said, though her voice suggested it wasn't. "People don't always know what to do with someone like me. I make them nervous." David set down his fork. "Sarah, I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it before you answer. What if you stayed here for a while, just until you get on your feet? We've got a spare room. It's small, but it's warm and dry. No pressure, no expectations, just a safe place to land." Sarah's hand froze halfway to her glass. "I couldn't possibly if the bathroom door sticks," David continued, "and the water heater makes a funny noise at night. Jenny plays her music too loud, and I snore. It's not perfect, but it's a roof, and you'd be doing us a favor. Honestly, this house could use a woman's touch. Lord knows we've been living like bachelors too long. Please stay," Jenny added softly, "at least for a little while." Sarah's composure cracked then. Tears slipped from beneath the blindfold, running down her cheeks. "Why are you being so kind to me? You don't even know me." David thought about his wife, gone these past 6 years, about the kindness of strangers who'd helped him through those dark days, about the neighbor who brought casseroles every Tuesday, the teacher who stayed late to help Jenny with her grief, the contractor who gave him work when he could barely function. "Because someone was kind to us once," he said simply. "When my wife passed, this whole neighborhood showed up, and I learned something then. Kindness isn't about knowing someone, it's about recognizing when someone needs help and having the courage to offer it." Sarah stayed that night, and the next, and the one after that. Days turned into weeks. She learned the layout of their small house, memorizing where furniture sat, how many steps to each room. Jenny taught her the squeaky spots in the hallway floor and which cabinet held the coffee mugs. David helped her file for disability benefits she didn't know she qualified for. Jenny researched programs for the visually impaired and found an organization that could help with job placement. In the evenings, they fell into comfortable rhythms. Sarah would sit at the kitchen table while Jenny did homework, offering help with literature questions. Her memory was remarkable. She could recite passages from books she'd read years ago, before the accident. David found himself looking forward to coming home, to the sound of Sarah and Jenny laughing in the kitchen, to dinners that felt like family again. One Saturday morning, 3 months after that rainy night, David came downstairs to find Sarah in the kitchen, cooking breakfast. She moved confidently now, knowing where everything was kept. The coffee was already brewing. "Morning," he said, surprised. She turned toward his voice, smiling. "Good morning. I hope you like pancakes. Jenny let me practice last night while you were at your poker game." "Pancakes sound perfect." She poured batter onto the griddle with steady hands. "David, I got a call yesterday from that program Jenny found. They have a position for me. Data entry for a company that specifically hires people with visual impairments. The pay is decent, enough that I could start looking for my own place soon." David felt a strange pang in his chest. "That's wonderful, Sarah. Really wonderful, is it?" she asked quietly. "Because I've been so happy here, with you and Jenny. You've become family to me." "You're family to us too," David said, and meant it. Sarah was quiet for a moment. "My sister called last week. She heard I was living here. She wanted to apologize. Said she made a terrible mistake, letting Mark kick me out. She asked if I'd come back." "What did you tell her?" "I told her I forgave her, but that I'm exactly where I need to be." Jenny appeared in the doorway then, still in her pajamas, her hair a mess. "Are those pancakes?" "Sarah, you're amazing." They sat together at the small kitchen table, passing syrup and butter, talking about Jenny's upcoming biology test and David's project at work and Sarah's new job. Simple things, ordinary moments. But that was the thing about kindness. David had learned, it wasn't always dramatic or grand. Sometimes it was just making room at your table, opening a door, offering shelter from the rain. That night, after Jenny had gone to bed and Sarah had retired to what they now called her room, David stood in his backyard looking up at the clear sky. The rain had long since passed, leaving everything clean and new. He thought about that Tuesday evening, about the choice to pull over, about how one small act of compassion had changed all their lives. Sarah had a job now, a future, but more than that, she had a home, a family who loved her, and he and Jenny. They had Sarah, her quiet strength, her gentle humor, the way she'd taught them that disability didn't mean inability, that blindness didn't mean not seeing, that sometimes the people who can't see with their eyes see more clearly with their hearts. Inside the house, a light was on in Sarah's window. He could see her shadow moving about, probably reading one of the audiobooks she loved. She'd be starting her new job on Monday, but she'd be coming home here, to them, the following week. David helped Sarah move her few belongings from her sister's house. It wasn't much, some clothes, books, a few treasured photos from before the accident. Her sister stood in the doorway, crying, "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I should have stood up for you." Sarah reached out, found her sister's hand. "I know, but maybe this is how it was supposed to happen. Maybe I needed to find my own way." In the truck on the way home, Sarah was quiet. David let the silence sit, not rushing to fill it. "David," she said finally, "thank you for seeing me that night, for stopping." He thought about his answer carefully. "Sarah, everyone deserves to be seen. The world just needs more people willing to look." When they pulled into the driveway, Jenny was waiting on the porch, waving. Sarah's belongings would go in her room, the room that was hers not temporarily, but for as long as she wanted it, because that's what family did. That evening, David watched his daughter and Sarah making dinner together, laughing over some private joke. The house felt full in a way it hadn't in years, not crowded, just complete. Later, after the dishes were done and everyone had settled in for the night, David stood in his daughter's doorway as he had so many times before. "Dad," Jenny said, looking up from her phone, "I'm really glad you stopped that night." "Me too, kiddo, me too." "Do you think Sarah will stay, like, permanently?" David smiled. "I think she's already home." And she was, because home isn't just a place with four walls and a roof. It's wherever someone sees you, truly sees you, and decides you're worth stopping for, worth making room for, worth loving. Outside, the night was clear and still. Somewhere, rain was falling on someone who needed shelter. Somewhere, a stranger was making the choice to stop or keep driving. Somewhere, small acts of kindness were changing the world in ways that would ripple forward through time. But here, in this small house on Maple Street, three people who'd found each other in the rain had discovered something precious. That family isn't just about blood. It's about choice, about opening your door and your heart, about seeing someone in their moment of greatest need and simply saying, "Come in from the rain." The truth that left David stunned wasn't dramatic or shocking. It was beautifully simple. He'd gone out that rainy night thinking he'd help someone in need. What he hadn't expected was that in saving Sarah, she would save them too. That in offering her shelter, she would make their house feel like a home again. Sometimes the greatest truths are the quietest ones. That we need each other. That kindness costs nothing but means everything. That the strangers we help today might become the family we cherish tomorrow. And that love, real love, is just making room at your table and saying, "Stay."